It wore a crown that weighed as much as a human being. It was the most majestic creature of the Ice Age. This is the Irish elk, or Megaloceros, a beast so exaggerated. These antlers weighed nearly 90 pounds. Imagine walking around every day with a full-grown child balanced on your head.
First, a correction. It wasn't exclusively Irish, and it wasn't an elk. It ranged across Europe to Siberia, and it was actually a giant deer. This required an insane amount of calcium and phosphorus. During growth, the stag was literally borrowing minerals from. Scientists call this seasonal osteoporosis. The animal lived on a biological knife edge. If it didn't find enough minerals, its own bones would snap.
Why take this risk? The answer is simple and brutal: sexual selection. The females only
For decades, people believed they went extinct because their antlers got stuck in trees. This is a myth, a complete fabrication. Megaloceros didn't live in forests. It was a creature of the Mammoth Steppe.
In this open world, its 12-foot span was a symbol of dominance, not a liability.
Humans saw them. We know this because our ancestors painted them on cave walls, capturing the distinctive hump.
Aside from humans, only the cave lion or a pack of hyenas posed a real threat. But a healthy stag with those antlers.
But then, the world changed. The Ice Age ended. The climate warmed, and the endless nutrients. This was the problem. Forest leaves are less nutrient-dense than steppe grass. The high-quality fuel needed to build the massive antlers was disappearing.
The changing climate also shortened the growing season. The stags had less time to find less food to grow the same massive bone structure. Evolution is slow. Climate change is fast. They couldn't just decide to grow smaller antlers. The genetic program.
They retreated east. The last survivors held out in Siberia, thousands of years after they vanished from Ireland.
The latest carbon dating tells us they survived until about 7,700 years ago.
Starting the micro drill now. Hi.
Documented. The sample looks clean.
The fallow deer is a small, spotted creature you see in parks. It's the tiny cousin that survived by staying small.
Unlike many island species that shrink, the Irish elk is a case of mainland gigantism that flourished when resources were limitless. Cave paintings show a large shoulder hump. We now know this wasn't just fat like a camel, but a massive anchor for the neck ligament holding up the head.
Thanks to ancient artists, we know they likely had a dark collar of fur around the neck and a lighter body, a distinct, regal appearance. After shedding, the stag was vulnerable. Without his crown, he lost his status and his primary defense.
To truly grasp the scale, if an Irish elk stood on a highway, its antlers would block both lanes of traffic. It was a living roadblock.
It's called runaway selection. Females kept choosing bigger antlers, pushing the species to a biological extreme until the physics of their own bodies couldn't take it.
Based on their larynx structure, their call wasn't a high-pitched bugle like an elk, but a deep, resonant bellow that could travel miles across the steppe. The younger Dryas cold snap was the final nail in the coffin. The chaotic weather patterns destroyed the predictable seasons they needed to grow their antlers.
While the mammoth gets all the fame,
The Irish elk was arguably a more specialized creature. The mammoth had
It forces us to accept a hard truth. You can be perfect, you can be the strongest, and you can still lose if the rules of the game change.
Could we bring them back? Since we have their DNA and a living surrogate in the fallow deer, the Irish elk is a prime candidate for de-extinction. But should we? In a world of fences, highways, and shrinking forests, is there any room left for a giant that needs 12 feet of clearance to walk?
Why Ireland? The limestone-rich lakes of Ireland were perfect for preserving bone, and the high calcium in the soil there. Their teeth were specialized for grazing tough grasses, not browsing soft leaves. When the grass went away,
They weren't sprinters like the short-faced bear. They were endurance walkers, designed to cover vast territories in search.
recent studies suggest phosphorus was the real limiting factor. Without it, bones become brittle.
The palm of the antler facing forward acted like a massive satellite dish, possibly helping to amplify sound or channel scent towards the stag.
It was a global success story.
In the 19th century, having an Irish elk skull above your fireplace was the ultimate status symbol. Thousands were dug up and sold. Imagine an elk in Yellowstone, but double the weight and triple the headgear. It pushes the boundaries of what biology allows.
Their antler cycle was triggered by sunlight. As days got shorter, testosterone dropped.
As they were forced to eat birch and willow instead of grass, their bodies couldn't extract the minerals. They were eating, but starving. As populations fragmented, inbreeding became an issue, further weakening their ability to adapt to the new, warmer world.
One spring, the last stag in Ireland didn't regrow his antlers. He was too weak.
Now, they stand silent in museums, a testament to a time when the earth could support giants.
The Irish elk teaches us the danger of hyper-specialization. Being the best at one thing is great.
We lost more than a deer. We lost a living monument to the power of nature's excess.
Confusion arises because elk means moose in Europe, but Wapiti in America. Megaloceros was neither. It was a giant deer.
Its coat was likely double-layered like a mammoth's, designed to shed snow and trap heat in temperatures that would freeze a modern human in minutes.
Fossil analysis suggests a broad, flat lip, perfect for mowing down large swathes of grass, rather than the pointed lip of a selective browser.
The vertebrae in the neck had enormous spines, attachment points for the massive ligaments needed to hold the head horizontal.
When first discovered in the 1600s, some thought they were remains of elephants or monsters from the biblical flood.
Males would starve themselves during the rut, losing up to 20% of their body weight. Entering winter depleted was a deadly gamble.
Like modern moose, they were likely strong swimmers, crossing glacial lakes to find new grazing grounds or escape threats.
How do you sleep with 12-foot antlers? They likely slept with their chins resting on the ground, or simply dozed while standing up.
If they survived childhood, they likely lived around 20 years. But few males reached old age. Today, artists and sculptors are obsessed with its form. It remains the ultimate challenge in paleo art to capture its balance.
Fossilized dung analysis shows they suffered from heavy parasite loads, another factor that weakened them when the climate turned.
Neanderthals shared Europe with them for thousands of years. They likely respected the stag not just as food, but as a totem of power. The final population in the Urals was isolated, a lonely end for a species that once spanned a continent.
If you saw one today in a city park, you wouldn't believe your eyes. It would look like a creature from fantasy, not history.
Megaloceros was a paradox. It was nature's greatest sculpture, but also a prisoner of its own genetic ambition.
Its extinction is a warning. When the environment changes, even the most magnificent adaptations can become fatal flaws.
The giant deer is gone. But in our imagination, the king still walks the mist of the Mammoth Steppe. We are exploring the lost giants of our world. If you want to keep these legends alive, join our community.
Next time, we leave the ice for the jungle. The biggest snake to ever live. It ate crocodiles for breakfast. Meet Titanoboa, 42 feet of squeezing power. Subscribe so you don't miss the monster of the rainforest.
Hit subscribe and let us know in the comments. Could the Irish elk survive in today's world?
Check out our video on the short-faced bear if you haven't seen it yet.